My most favorite records I have in my collection are my Ghibli records. Every time I see them, it makes me so happy as a person that has loved Studio Ghibli growing up. I think I first watched Spirited Away when I was 8 years old, and I'm now 26, so it's been 18 years loving these movies and of course loving the soundtracks. I think specifically Joe Hisayashi's music within Studio Ghibli movies and Miyazaki movies are what makes them so special to me. I am someone that's very musically inclined, and Miyazaki being my favorite director, it just makes sense that I would also be in love with the soundtracks, with the music from these films, these beautiful films. It just so happened that they're only just being released on record in the last couple of years. I think the first batch were 2018. So over the last 4 years, they've finally been released on vinyl, which is really exciting for me as a Ghibli fan because I only got recently into records about 5 years ago. So it was this perfect timing where I can collect the first pressing of this music on wax. I feel so lucky. I now own 4 records from this Ghibli vinyl collection out of the 31 records, 32 if you count the 7-inch box set that make up this Studio Ghibli collection. So without further ado, here is all the Ghibli you can own on wax if you're a wax fan or a Ghibli fan. So the overall collection mostly involves concept albums and then actual soundtracks, which have been remastered with new jackets, extensive commentary, liner notes, and it is the first time obviously this music has been released on vinyl. How exciting. Within regards to original soundtracks, which is the main bulk of the collection that I'm personally interested in, it does actually make up majority of the collection. You have 4 records that I actually own on wax. So the ones that I own on wax within the original soundtracks are Spirited Away. This is the first Ghibli vinyl that I owned. I was gifted this 2 to 3 years ago, I think at this point. It's got a purple obi strip. It is a gatefold with Chihiro riding, I always forget his name. Chihiro riding the dragon form of Haku. That's him. All these notes down here in Japanese, I cannot read one word of Japanese personally, so I have no idea what it all means. You honestly just have so much Miyazaki art sprinkled throughout all these records. So you've got another shot of Chihiro with the train down here. On the back you have another Chihiro and Haku moment, and the bathhouse is the front cover, which I think is perfection. The amount of contrast this cover is with the rest of them, because the rest of them are a lot lighter in color, and you got this really dark cover for Spirited Away, which I think really pops. You've also got some inserts as well for the Spirited Away soundtrack, which gives you another shot of Chihiro and Haku. It seems like that's the only 2 characters that live in this world for some reason. Yubaba's twin sister, No Face. You've got side A, B, and C, which actually has music on it, but then you also have side D, which has laser etchings of characters, which is really cool. I really hope you can see that on some level. Seems like you can't see it from where I am. I'll put the catalog number for each of these records down here. If you want to look up any of these records, just search this catalog number and you will find them on Discogs. The Spirited Away one was released in 2020. It has 21 tracks, 2 discs, 3 sides with the laser etching on the D side. Howl's Moving Castle is the next soundtrack that I also own in this collection. Oh my gosh, this is one of the newer ones I've gotten, so I'm not really over this one yet. I only just got it a month ago. This is the other gatefold that I own within this collection. So this is the front cover. You got a shot of the castle. Another obi strip in the dark blue this time, and it is a gatefold with Hal and Sophie on the inside and a bunch of Japanese notes again, which I can't read. And the back is Hal and Sophie. This one also is side A, B, and C with the music, and then side D will be the laser etchings again of some characters. The insert for this one is a shot of the castle again. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. Just a little Hal and Sophie moment and a bunch of Japanese on this side. And I'll quickly show you the etchings again if I can. I love this because you got Calcifer and then the dog. I can't remember the dog's name. I'm not great with names. That is the dog and Calcifer that are etched onto this one. 26 tracks, all of the original soundtrack, along with the theme song Sekai no Yakusoku. Sorry if my pronunciation is not that great. And that theme song is actually performed by Sophie's voice actress from the original Japanese movie. The next soundtrack that I have in the collection is The Totoro soundtrack, how cute. So this is actually just a 1 disc this time. Has 20 tracks on it and just the 2 sides obviously as it's 1 disc. It's got the soundtrack plus it's got Sampo and My Neighbor Totoro included as well as extra bonus tracks. It's got a 4-page color graphic and commentary as well included. I will show you the back of this because I'm absolutely in love with the shot of Miyazaki and Joe Hisaishi on the back. Miyazaki is the director, Joe Hisaishi is the composer. And then on the front you have a bit more of like an etched, like a sketched sort of storyboard shot of the girls with the cat bus, which is really cool. I actually like it a lot. And this obi strip is white and a lot thicker than the other 2 I've shown so far. So the 4-page insert has a bunch of Japanese writing once again. I would imagine they're liner notes. And then you've also got Joe Hisaishi conducting some orchestras on the front and the back. And then on the inside, oh my gosh, I haven't seen this in real life yet. This is... keep it together. This is an amazing portrait shot of Totoro with Sei, I want to say. What's their freaking names again? Not Sei, Mei. I was very close. I really love that. That's very special. If I wasn't trying to keep this record in good condition, I'd hang it up on my wall. You know, if I was 15 and in my posters era, I would have that up on the wall. 20 tracks, 1 disc, 2 sides. I think I've said everything I need to say about that. The last record within the original soundtracks bulk of this collection that I have is the Porco Rosso soundtrack. This is extremely special to me because Porco Rosso is my favorite Ghibli movie. This movie is just beyond incredible. I'd love to do a video about why coming to this channel. That would actually be a great idea. I'm having video ideas on screen for you right now in real time. This has a red obi strip, of course. Of course it does, with the red plane on the front. Porco, you can see him driving his little plane. And the shot of the island that is visited quite a lot in the film is on the back here. This is not a gatefold, this is just a 1 disc record. It's got 23 tracks on it. Vocals are by Tokiko Kato and commentary by Hidekune Meijima. This came out in 2020. So from the 4 I've shown actually, House, Spirit Away, and this one came out in 2020, and then My Neighbor Totoro came out in 2018. And then the insert, you've got, oh my gosh, you have an insert that's not been looked after very well. Porco on the beach, which is like a shot from the movie with the magazine over his head. And then on the back, it is just Porco. Oh my god, this is actually my favorite shot from the movie. Look at it. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Next are the rest of the soundtracks that I don't own yet. I'm going to start with the soundtracks that I personally want to purchase, and then we'll get to the soundtracks that I don't really have any interest in, but are still part of the collection. So, firstly, the soundtracks that I don't own yet, but definitely want to. The Princess Mononoke soundtrack, 100%. This came out in 2020. It has 33 tracks on it. I believe because there's so many tracks on this record, there's no etching. It's just 4 sides with just music. This is performed by the full Tokyo City Philharmonic Orchestra, and it's got just the soundtrack, but then it also has the added theme song with vocals from Yoshikazu Mera. Next, I definitely want to own, honestly, this might be the next one that I want to get in my collection, and is the Kiki's Delivery Service original soundtrack, which also came out in 2020. This one has 21 tracks, just the 1 disc and the 2 sides, like Porco and Totoro. It's got the original soundtrack, and then also has a couple of extra added on songs with vocals from Yumi Matsu Toya, and commentary from Hidekune Meijima again there. The next original soundtrack that I will be getting my hands on is the Laputa Castle in the Sky original soundtrack, also 2020. This only has 14 tracks on it, the 1 disc with the 2 sides of music, and then an added song as well. There's double cover art in this one, as well as reproduction cells of Pazu and Shita. I think reproduction cells are like shots that were actually created during the process of making the movie, of animating the anime. Next, Nausicaa. I've always said Nausicaa, but I believe I'm completely wrong, and it's actually like Nausicaa. I've been saying it wrong the whole entire time, but Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. This is from 2018, so this is a bit older one, along with Totoro. And this has 13 tracks on it, 1 disc, 2 sides of just music, so a bit of a shorter one again. The cover art is watercolor. This one's absolutely beautiful. I love this cover art. And actually my dad already owns this soundtrack, so I'm really on the fence. I think I want to own my own copy because I won't listen to it enough just from it being in my dad's collection, but I did actually get this record for my dad for his birthday a couple years ago, or for Father's Day, because he loves this soundtrack. This is his favorite Hisaishi soundtrack right here. This one is super funky actually. That's why I love it. It's so different. I think this was the first Miyazaki movie where Hisaishi did the soundtrack for it. You can sort of tell because he's sort of founding his sound. It's very interesting to listen to. But yeah, I love the cover art here. It is a watercolor painting, which was originally for the manga, which the anime is based off of. It also includes a 4-page color graphic insert, again with the double cover art. The last original soundtrack that I definitely want to own is the Ponyo soundtrack. So that's Ponyo on the Cliff by the Sea. This is from 2021, so it's a later release. These last 4 soundtracks actually were all released in 2021, so they all came out a bit later than the rest of them. The Ponyo one is a 36 songs, 2 discs, 3 sides with music, and then the 1 side with the laser etching. So that definitely makes me want to get it a bit more because I love the laser etching on the D side. I actually rewatched Ponyo not long ago, maybe a couple months ago, and it reminded me of how good this film is. This movie is very special to me because it was the first Miyazaki movie I saw in cinemas. Just a rewatch I did recently just reminded me of how good this film is. It's sometimes a little forgettable for me, like I forget about how good it is and then I rewatch it and I'm like, oh wait, no, I love this film. And then there's 3 more original soundtracks within the Ghibli collection on record that I don't particularly want, but I'll let you know what they are. So the first one is the newest film that was released by Miyazaki, and that is The Wind Rises, and this is from 2021 again, and it's got 32 tracks with 2 discs, 3 sides of music, and the 1 side with the laser etching characters. This is the soundtrack along with the theme song Hikoki Cloud by Yumi Arai, and the soundtrack's performed by Yomiuri Nippon Symphony Orchestra. Please, I'm trying with the pronunciation, okay? Like, take it easy on me. The reason I don't particularly want this soundtrack is I don't really like The Wind Rises. I think if I get all the rest of them and then I'm not stricken for money and I'm not feeling bad about the amount of plastic I'm buying, then I might get The Wind Rises. But I really just want to try and keep my Ghibli collection just to the records that I would want to be listening to. Don't particularly think I would go back to The Wind Rises very often. It's just not my style, that one. I'm sorry. The next one is The Tale of the Princess Kaguya, and this is not actually a Miyazaki film. This film was directed by Isao Takehata, but it is a Ghibli film because Ghibli is the production company. So I don't particularly want to own it. I really liked this film, but I don't think I liked it enough to want to buy it. But this record has 37 tracks, the 2 discs, with the D side being the laser etching of the characters again. It has a double cover art, and it also includes not just the original soundtrack, but also a theme song by Kazumi Nikaido. The last of the original soundtracks in the Ghibli vinyl collection is Mr. Do and the Egg Princess. I've never seen Mr. Do and the Egg Princess. I believe it's not actually a full-length film, it's shorter in length, and therefore this soundtrack is also shorter in length. I don't particularly want to own this because I haven't seen it. Maybe I want to watch this film eventually, or this short film, I'm not sure. But this record is 7 tracks in length with the 1 disc, and 1 side has the music and then the other side has the character laser etching. So that's all the original soundtracks you can own. So the concept albums are essentially like a bunch of music that Hisashi would have created based off the concept of the movie. And it's based a lot of the time off the idea of what Miyazaki wanted the music to be when he was first creating the concept or in the production process of the movies. So it's not like the original soundtrack, it's not the finished piece, but it's sort of like a midpoint where it's Hisashi and Miyazaki's concept of what the music will eventually be. I have listened to a lot of the original soundtracks and then listened to the concept albums on Spotify. Like, I've compared both, and I much prefer the music on the original soundtracks. I think I'm going to stick to that. So I don't think I'll be picking up any of these concept albums, but you can find most of these albums on Spotify if you want to give them like a bit of a listen before you pick them up, because this won't be the original stuff that you hear in the movies. It's going to be a little bit different, but some people find these collectibles to still be like, you know, something cute to own. A lot of these records are very beautiful as well, but the music itself I think is not worth my time particularly, because I'm just happy with the original soundtracks, but you can do whatever you want to do. These are also called image albums, by the way, if you're a little confused. They can be called image albums all the time when you're looking at them online. There are 8 concept albums in total in this collection. First you have the Spirited Away concept album, which was released in 2020, and it has 10 tracks with the 1 disc, and a lot of the music is based upon Miyazaki's notes created during production of the movie. Next you have Kiki's Livery Service concept album, which also came out in 2020. It has 12 tracks, just the 1 disc, and was actually first released in 1989. This release has new mastering and a new jacket artwork and is based on Miyazaki's image of somewhere in Europe around the Mediterranean. It's so cute, yeah. And then the next concept album we have is the Princess Mononoke one, which also came out in 2020. It has 10 tracks on it, and it's the 1 disc, and it was recorded by Hisashi. This album is based on the music notes written by Miyazaki during the movie production. The 4th is My Neighbor Totoro's concept album, which came out in 2018, so it's a bit earlier, like as in it came out on record in 2018. It has 11 tracks on it with the one disc, and it has 10 vocal tracks, 1 instrumental. So definitely really not my style, because I much prefer the instrumental tracks of Hisashi's work, so I'm good. But this also has a 16-page all melodies sheet music included, which is really cool. I sort of want it just for that. Next you have Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. It's going to take a while for me to get used to pronouncing it like that. This came out on record in 2018, and it has 11 tracks in it with the one disc, and is created based on the original manga that the anime was also based upon. And this also includes a 4-page color graphic. Oh my gosh, I want it just for that again. I sort of am getting a bit swayed here. The next image album or concept album is the Porco Rosso one, which I sort of want just because Porco Rosso is my favorite, but it's okay. This has 10 tracks on it with the one disc, came out in 2020 on Wax, and it is based upon the original manga that Porco Rosso is based upon, as well as Miyazaki's music notes for what he wanted the soundtrack to sound like. The second to last concept album is Ponyo of the Cliff by the Sea. This came out in 2021, so a bit later than the rest of them. This has 10 tracks on it with 6 vocal tracks and 4 instrumental tracks. Once again, not very interested in the vocal tracks here for me, personally. This concept album has artists collaborating with Hisashi to bring to life the music based upon Miyazaki's original notes created during the production of the movie. And 3 of the vocal tracks use Miyazaki's music notes as lyrics. And then the last concept album is Laputa Castle in the Sky, and this came out in 2018 on Wax originally, and it has 12 tracks with the one disc and double cover art, as well as reproduction cells of Pazu and Shida as well included in this. Next we have like a bunch of miscellaneous stuff, so I'm just gonna I've sort of grouped them together as much as I can. So firstly we have a soundbook. This came out in 2018 on Wax, and it has 10 tracks with the one disc. It is newly recorded music on violin, guitar and flute, and it has a musical picture book which conveys the interaction between Totoro and the children, and it also includes a 4-page color graphic. This record gives me like kid vibes with like the musical picture book, so I feel like this would be more suited for kids than me, especially because I'm not a big Totoro fan. Totoro is not probably in my top 5 Miyazaki films, so I think if you're a big Totoro fan, I could see maybe why you would like this, but this is called like a sound book, so I think that you listen to it as you read through the picture book. Next you have the Symphonic Suite collection, which is 4 different records. Firstly you have the Princess Mononoke one, released in 2020. It has 8 tracks with 1 disc, and it was recorded by the Czech Philharmonic Orchestra. Next you have House Moving Castle as well, which also came out in 2020, has the 10 tracks with the 1 disc, and it was recorded also in Prague by the Czech Philharmonic Orchestra. And the mastering took place at Abbey Road Studios. The third Symphonic Suite one you have is Laputa Castle in the Sky. This came out in 2018 with the 8 tracks and 1 disc, and it was performed by the Tokyo City Philharmonic Orchestra, and it also includes a 4-page color graphic. And then lastly for the Symphonic Suite Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, which also came out in 2018 and has 9 tracks with the 1 disc, and it has pieces from Nausicaa reproduced by an orchestra with Hisashi. It's got a 4-page color graphic and double cover art. Also, you have these 2 really random ones. So firstly, you can get the U.S.A. version of the soundtrack of Laputa Castle in the Sky. This has 23 tracks on it with the 2 discs with the laser etching on side D. This came out in 2021, and this U.S.A. version was released America-wide in 2003 originally. Hisashi rearranged and re-recorded the original soundtrack and also added some new music. And then also you have orchestra stories from Maneba Totoro as well, which is 16 tracks with 2 discs, and side D also has the laser etching once again. This was a specific limited release on Record Store Day in 2021, and it has new arrangements and compositions. It's got 2 parts. So firstly you've got the father of Satsuki and Mei, who is like a character in the movie, and he's introducing each of the instruments, and then the second part without any narration. Lastly, we just have some non-Hisashi records, which I don't really have any interest in because they're not really Hisashi related, but they are within Ghibli, which is like the production company. So first you've got the original soundtrack for Grave of the Fireflies, which is one of the saddest films I've ever seen in my life, and I will never rewatch that thing. This came out in 2022, so it's one of the newest releases here. All 4 of these left are all like the newest releases in the Ghibli collection. This has 10 tracks on it and is composed by Michiyu Mamiya, Masahiko Sato, and Kazuyo Kikawa. There's also a 12-page liner notes booklet included with a roundtable talk with director and the 3 composers of the soundtrack, which actually sounds really cool. Maybe I want this actually. And then you also have the soundtrack collection of Grave of the Fireflies, which came out also in 2022. This one features the soundtrack music as well as the dialogue and sound effects and a selection of major scenes from the movie, which just sounds incredible. This also has a 16-page liner notes booklet and script for the major scenes included on the LP, which is so cool. Wait, these Grave of the Fireflies ones sound so good. Lastly, we just have 2 more records, and these are the Brass Fantasia records. So these also came out in 2022, and they are a selection of popular music from Studio Ghibli's works performed by a brass quintet, first released in 1994. This is music from 5 Miyazaki movies: Totoro, Nausicaa, Laputa, Kiki's, and Porco. And you have Brass Fantasia 1 and you have Brass Fantasia 2. And that's it. That's all the music that you can get within the Studio Ghibli collection. Oh no, you also have a box set you can get of 7-inch records as well. But I don't know much about this. I only recently found out about this one. I think I'll be focusing on the 12 inches here for a very long time. And that's it. That is all the Ghibli you can get on record. I am about to go broke. Anyway, I hope I will see you soon for my next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Bye-bye from me and Porco. Bye!